Hello folks, Typhoon Carter here, and I bring to you a Smogon Premier League 17 matchup. This is a week 1 showdown between 199 and Sheik. A little bit of background going into this game. 199 was actually originally scheduled to play against Groudon, but Groudon got subbed out for whatever reason, like, I don't know, maybe he had something going on in his personal life, and Sheik, who is one of the substitutes for the Classiest, is taking his place. 199, old player, I think he's from Oceania, and he's somebody who played like several years ago back in SPL, and I think he started playing again last year and really getting himself back into playing shape. He's a decent player. I've played it a couple of times before, whether it's on ladder or like in tournaments. Solid player and the Bigs got themselves a decent budget option for DPP at 3K in the auction. Groudon was not retained, but he was brought back to Classiest after his 5-4 campaign last year. But as he is not playing this week, Sheik, you might remember, we had him playing in DPP Revival Invitationals, his play-ins rounds, where I think he lost to Mendy's pretty early on. He's like one of those old gens, like all-around players who kind of plays a bit of everything. He's a decent player. I think he had a pretty good DPPPL campaign last year. But enough of that though. Let's go into the actual game. Rose lead, Heatran lead. Interesting lead matchup here. Just for those watching, this is SPL. This is the first major tournament we're having with the sleep ban in effect. And on lead, Rose Raid, this is not a good matchup for 199. Whereas for Sheik, he's got Heatran, could be Specs, could be, you know, like Focus Sash, or what. There's like a bazillion sets it could be, and Heatran does not have to worry about getting slept. But one way that 199 could, you know, catch him off guard is by letting something like a Hidden Power Ground Rip, if he has that. And Rose, you know, like without sleep, really I think Rose makes its living in this tier with things like spikes and toxic spikes, things like that. But we'll see how this plays out. So he's gonna switch into Latias, doesn't want to find out what's gonna happen to him. Got pivot into Laddie, got pivot into meta. Laddie took 35 from that flamethrower, so this tells me that this is most certainly a Specs Heatran of some kind. And going into meta is interesting. We're gonna see what happens. Doubles out into Celebi. Celebi's the rocker here. Meta's got Trick. And 4 turns in, 199's team, I would this could be like a Fire Water Grass core. We don't know for sure. I would expect 199 to have like a Rotom or something to say like spin block hazards and really keep them up. Now for Sheik, only 2 Pokemon shown, but Celebi being a rocker tells me that Sheik might have brought a maybe like one of those CB Tar plus Specs Heatran style Paraspams, which is something that, you know, as we watch this tournament progress, these early weeks, I would expect these players to kind of stick to what they're comfortable with, such as, you know, like Zap Me Paraspam, especially with something like a Celebi with Stealth Rocks. So this is like probably an older team, but let's keep going here. Gotta go back to Roserade here. Going to eat the Hidden Power Fire. That is a Roserade with some Spadef bulk, which is interesting. Gonna get spikes up. So, oh, okay, that's interesting. Gonna go into Heatran, and it's gonna eat up that overheat pretty handily. And we see that it is a lefty's Heatran. So, the one of 199's last here could be a Swampert or like some kind of ground type of sorts. And then a Rotom. That's how I would expect 199's team to round out nicely, because you have the Metagross to, you know, combat something like a potential T-Tar in the back. And now Sheik is most certainly going to have to switch out. And this, however, this Roserade back on turn 5, spiking, going for the spike here, tells me that this Roserade likely does not have toxic spikes, because I think normally you just want to have your toxic spikes go on the field. So based on this, I expect this to be grass move, spikes, and then probably stun spore would be what I expect, and then probably hidden power of choice. But we're gonna keep going. Starmie's gonna be sent out. That's not surprising. 199 could go for a spin block right about now, and go draw out the Starmie. Good protector to scout up the T-Wave. Gonna go into Roserade, which will actually threaten the Starmie, and Starmie does not want to stay in here. Gonna go back out the Heatran. Heatran's going to eat decent amounts of damage and doubles into Rotom. So this is probably Scarf Rotom. And 11 turns in, what I would probably expect here is that 199, there's a couple ways you can play this, right? But it's not a particularly favorable turn for him, because like position wise, because one, this Heatran has no reason to try to let him move rip, because if he stays in it, let's say the Heatran does in fact stay in, then Heatran could nab a free KO onto Rotom and you lose it for nothing and Starmie can spin. But the other thing 199 has to be wary of is, let's say he goes into Latias and then Sheik doubles out into a choice band T-Tar, then now the T-Tar is extremely favored position-wise, and then you lose a Heatran check, or a reliable one at that, because like your own Heatran isn't really sustainable in case this Specs Heatran does in fact have Earth Power. Just got Hydro Pump here, and that looks like either a Specs Rotom or not sure. But T-Tar is going to come out. Not too surprising. Sheik was okay with letting it go, and he probably anticipated this series of events. And the Rotom is most certainly going to get either crunched on or pursued it, but I think 199 here would definitely want to take his damage. Got Hydro Pump here, gonna do 47%, and oh, that may or may not have mattered. But that's CB, I don't think that... Yeah, I think he was screwed regardless. So that was like not ideal, but what else are you gonna do? And now the Celebi's gonna recover. Great entry point there. However, 15 turns in. I mean, I'm pausing a lot more because this is best of one. The Heatran, if this is Protect, the last two moves is probably like say Lava Plume and then say Earth Power, or it could be something like Explosion or Boom or sorry, Roar. There's a couple ways this team could be structured out, and from this position, I mean, one, you want to be wary of the Starmie entry. It's gonna go into Roserade here, and going to anticipate the Starmie entry point, so that's a great pivot back from 199 here. He's got Threaten the Grass move here, but Sheik's going to scout this out, going to go into Metagross, going to eat 29% from Grass Knot, so that's decent damage, but Hidden Power Fire probably won't kill. Last is Quagsire. Okay, so Quagsire is actually interesting last here on this Roserade team, because normally that Quagsire slot is taken up by Swampert, but this works here because of the fact that one, Quagsire reduces the burden of Roserade being the water check on this kind of team, so you could have Roserade be more focused on, you know, wearing down something like Tyranitar or trying to 1v1 Celebi, for example. And then you also block Surf from Starmie, so you completely wall that. And the Metagross can't really do a whole lot back to Quagsire, and Quagsire could threaten something like a Encore. So, you know, 199's in a really good position here, and Sheik's last is probably like a Latias or something like that. It's gonna pivot back to Celebi, that's not too surprising. And yeah, a lot of timer burned on Sheik's end, and Celebi's gonna safely come in on this. Gonna go back into Starmie. And go into Heatran. So Starmie can now recover or spin. If I'm 199 here, I would probably go into Roserade here. I think there's no reason not to try to go for it. And not to mention, like, the effects of the sleep ban means that this Roserade could realistically run something like Natural Cure, so that, you know, T-Wave isn't as big of a problem, even though you have something like Quagsire, but Quagsire isn't really a good long-term solution to dealing with that. And even though Quagsire walls the crap out of Starmie, the problem here is that, you know, even with something like Ice Punch, it's like you're just not doing enough to Celebi, so just keep that in mind. Starmie's gonna spin here, not too surprising, especially with the Rotom out of the picture. Oh, that might have been a bit premature. I don't know if I like that. So Heatran blows up there, and mind you, 199. You can't see this, but 199 had a decent amount of timer left. Like I think he had like more than 2 minutes of clock, where Sheik was like taken down to like 20 seconds. But why was that explosion bad? I think one, there's a couple reasons why I think it's not a good explosion. One, you have the Roserade, right? Roserade could come in, you know it's T-Wave. And it's likely to be Surf Star. So you could come in on this, and then now you could threaten, you could force it out with a Grass Knot, and then say come back, say like get your spikes up again, and then you could have your Heatran come back in later, because this Metagross doesn't have an item, Celebi has an Iron Ball tricked onto it, and then Tyranitar is most likely slower than the Roserade, so that was not, I don't love that play. And we're going to see if this comes back to bite him or not. Zapdos is going to be the last here, and yeah, you don't have a great way to deal with Zapdos, even though you have the Quag. Quag could threaten a Toxic, but I think if he had it, he should have clicked it by now. Gotta block the T-Wave here. And we're going to see what happens here. Goes into Rose and... Wait, what? Okay, so I think what 199 was afraid of there was Toxic. You get a Toxic from Zapdos, but I don't really agree with this decision for a couple reasons. One, you look at Sheik's team, right? This is a known Paraspam style, so like Zapdos likely not running HP Grass. I get you want Scout for it. Two, you could have tried going into Metagross and to like try and scout that out, try to see like what his play is if you think a Toxic is coming, right? Because again, Sheik has no reason to click you know, Discharge or T-Wave or like Thunderbolt, right? So this was just not good. And now 199 had a, like, this is actually a pretty decent matchup into what Sheik has here. And then you see the consequences of exploding the Heatran, where he doesn't have a way to keep Rocks up, and then Rocks is what's going to keep Zapdos in check. And this is a Pokemon we're talking about that has only gotten better after Spore was banned, or like just sleep moves in general. And this Roserade's on its last legs, and it's faster, so Roserade's gonna be let go of, and I think this was a wasted opportunity. Now Quagsire could threaten the Ice Punch again, and yep, there it is, but it's only doing 19%. And then Metagross gonna come in, but the problem is that Metagross can't really do a lot back to Zapdos, except for maybe, you know, explode. But the thing is, you still want the Metagross so that you can 1v1 or like trade down with opposing meta, and then also deal with Tyranitar. And the Latias here could do something, but you're gonna need a lot to be out of the way. You need the Tyrant. Well, the T-Tar's very weakened, but you need a little bit more chip damage on, you know, the meta, and then you also want to get Zapdos out of the picture, or at least as much damage as possible. Yeah, that Hidden Power Ice only doing 22%. Quagsire could threaten an Encore here, and she just gotta eat this up. Going to scout that out. So that's the one thing Sheik has to be careful of. And now at this stage in the game, I think it hinges more on Sheik not choking. And T-Tar's gonna be out of the picture, but this is gonna invite Metagross in for free. Meta's gonna be invited in. It's a Scarf meta. And it's gonna eat that up. So this Metagross, if it's Choice Scarf, something that she could do here is he could actually threaten a Pursuit on this Latias. But to be fair, this Metagross, I think it's probably Meteor Mash and it's probably Thunder Punch so that you can deal with something like Taunt-Gira. And then, or Ice Punch even, for example. So there's a couple ways you can deal with, you can have Scarf meta. And the nice thing about Scarf meta is that its defensive profile for a Scarfer is not too bad. Like, it's a bulky Scarfer that can actually take hits, and then it has like a good move pool that can actually threaten out something like common DDers. But one thing I will say about Sheik's team is that this actually could have a hard time against something like Jolly Dragon Dance D-Knight. Zapdol's gonna come in, it's just gonna sit on this Metagross, and 199 is just pivoting back, Sheik running really low on timer. And he's gonna go back into Celebi. Like, he doesn't need to predict here. He could play it straight. The only thing he's going to have to predict is what the Metagross will boom on, because you still want the Celebi to, like, if you sack the Zapdos to a boom, then I think that's ideal, because one, like, your own meta can deal with the Latias, and then the Celebi can do okay as well, because of the fact that the Celebi can just recover off the Dracos, like it doesn't have specs on it anymore. So yeah, like if I was gonna sack something to boom, if I'm Sheik, then it's probably Zap. And oh, Quagsire's got Curse up here, but it's gonna be forced out by Celebi. And it's got Hidden Power Fire, it's gonna do 31% to his meta. And he's gonna go back into Zapdos because again, he's okay with letting the Zapdos be a boom fodder. And yeah, this whole song and dance, again, like Ice Punch just does so little to physically defensive Celebi that it is just a matter of when. And it also doesn't matter if you freeze the Celebi too, right? Because of the fact that one, there's nothing stopping. And yeah, Sheik's just got Hidden Power Fire, he knows that, look, 199 cannot stay in and has to respect Grass Knot, and Meteor Mash misses, but I don't think that matters as much. Well, it could have forced the Zapdos to roost up, so that's one way to look at this. And gonna go back into Celebi here, going to eat 20% from this Ice Punch. Again, like Celebi can just recover this off like it's nothing, because Quagsire is just so slow, even with the Iron Ball cutting its speed in half. And then gonna go back into Zapdos. Again, there is nothing really stopping Sheik from just doing this over and over again. Yeah, you roost and then great, Ice Punch does nothing. He's just gonna go back into Celebi. Yeah, just gonna eat this Ice Punch up. And yeah, he's like down to 16. So he's used a few Ice Punches, but he's not at a point where he should be concerned yet. Celebi's gonna recover again here, and he's just gonna go into Zapdos again. Like, okay, so he tries to double into Quagsire, tries to make some plays, and really I think this game could have been a lot more interesting, but I think for 199 at this state in the game, he's probably just kicking himself, thinking that he shouldn't have let the Heatran go. And yeah, so now you see like 199's clearly behind in the game. He is trying to make some predictions here, like just staying on the Celebi, and then like, you know, trying to make Sheik stay on his toes per se. Just go Meteor Mash again, and again the PP on meta is starting to get low. Yeah, he's down to 6 uses as we're watching this game unfold. And he's gonna pivot back into Celebi. Yeah, like this is gonna go on for a while. I'm gonna speed this up a little bit. Gonna go into meta recover, and again he can just keep going to Zapdos to cover the boom, because he is okay with letting that go. Oh, gets a Meteor Mash raise. Okay, now things get a little spicy, but T-bolts into a Quagsire, but that's not gonna do enough. And doubles back into meta, and now Sheik's forced out yet again, and he's down to 1 Meteor Mash use. Tries to predict this and going to get burned for that. So Sheik makes a good play there to like stay in and stay disciplined. And this game is more or less a wrap. Draco Meteor's there, but that doesn't really matter anymore at this point. The game is all but lost. Explodes here. Oh, there's one way he can get out of this, a crit. That's the only way he gets out. Draco Meteors here doesn't do nearly enough. Doesn't get the crit. And Sheik's going to walk away here with a win. And he's got to start the season 1-0. And again, Sheik played alright, right, this game. Although I think this game I think speaks more for 199, like kind of just letting it get away from him. And I think this Roserade really needed Toxic Spikes on here. You could do something like, you know, Spikes plus Toxic Spikes with Grass Knot and then like Hidden Power Fire, for example. I think that's one way he could have gone about this. Quagsire on this style of team is actually pretty cool. Like, I actually like what it offers here because it, again, it reduces the burden of Roserade and Latias being water resist, and then it's a water immune that's not weak to ice moves. So this shores up the offensive Starmie matchup a little bit, which is like a really nice touch. So it's a good idea from 199, but booming on the Starmie was just ill-advised, I think. Even though, I mean, I assume this Latias probably had Healing Wish, so another thing 199 could have done, like maybe later on if he thinks he still needs to Roserade, was go to Lati, Healing Wish up onto Roserade to get it back up to full so that you effectively have, like, you know, maybe 4 more chances to come into game and make some magic happen, and then you could reestablish hazards as well, because like Roserade generally does a good job 1v1ing defensive Starmie. So that's just something to take into consideration. And that said though, if you guys enjoyed this video, like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.